She had never been late for anything in her life. Emma Parker believed that being on time was a sign of respect, a quiet promise you made to the world that your word mattered. But that morning, as she stood in the crowded airport terminal watching the departure board flash final call, something deep inside her told her that fate had other plans. Just a few feet away, an old man in a faded brown coat struggled to pick up his suitcase that had burst open, scattering clothes and papers all over the floor. People passed by him like he was invisible, rushing to their gates, eyes glued to phones, hearts too busy to notice. Emma hesitated for only a second. Her flight to New York was about to leave. She was going there for the biggest interview of her life, one that could finally free her from the endless cycle of small-town jobs and unpaid bills. But when the old man fell to his knees, clutching his chest in exhaustion, she dropped her bag without another thought. "Sir, are you okay?" she said, kneeling beside him. The man looked up with kind, tired eyes. "I'm fine, dear. Just dropped a few things," he muttered, trying to smile. His hands trembled as he reached for his papers. Emma helped him gather them one by one, noticing that some were old photographs, black and white, worn at the edges, of a woman and a young boy. "My wife and son," he whispered softly. "They're all I've got left now." She smiled gently. "They must be proud of you." He didn't reply, only nodded slowly. When they finished packing, Emma realized the announcement had changed from final call to gate closed. Her heart sank. She had missed her flight. For a moment, she stood still, fighting tears. That interview was her one chance. She had borrowed money for the ticket, worked double shifts at the diner to save up, and now it was gone. But when the old man tried to thank her, she forced a smile. "It's okay. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be." He looked at her with deep gratitude. "You're one of the rare ones left," he said quietly. "People who still stop when someone needs help." She didn't know why, but his words comforted her. She walked him to the airport cafe and bought him tea. They talked for nearly an hour. He told her his name was Harold Bennett, that he had built an airline decades ago but stepped down after his wife passed away. "These days," he said with a chuckle, "I just fly around trying to remember what life used to feel like." Emma listened with genuine interest. She told him about her small-town life, her dream to work in corporate communications, her struggles to care for her younger brother after their parents died. Harold watched her closely, admiring her humility. "You have a kind heart, Emma," he said, "and I suspect the world will notice one day." She smiled, thinking it was just something old people said. When their tea was finished, she helped him find his driver outside, waved goodbye, and turned to figure out how she'd get home. Her phone buzzed. The company she was supposed to interview with had already hired someone else. She sat on a bench outside the airport, broke and heartbroken, staring at the planes taking off one after another. 3 days later, while working. Another late shift at the diner. A sleek black car pulled up outside. A man in a suit walked in, holding an envelope. "Emma Parker?" he asked. She nodded, confused. "Mr. Bennett would like to see you tomorrow morning. He's arranged a car to pick you up." She blinked in shock. "Mr. Bennett? The old man from the airport?" The man smiled politely. "The same. He asked me to make sure you don't say no." The next morning, Emma was driven to a tall glass building downtown, the headquarters of Bennett Airlines. She was trembling as she entered the marble lobby, greeted by staff who treated her like a guest of honor. Harold was waiting in his office, looking different now. Confident, well-dressed, and very much the powerful man he had once been. He grinned when he saw her. "I owe you an apology, Emma. I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to know how people treat others when they expect nothing in return." She smiled shyly. "You don't owe me anything, sir. I was just trying to help." He stood up and handed her a letter. "You missed your interview that day, so I thought maybe I could make up for it. How would you like to work here, as my personal communications assistant?" Her jaw dropped. "Are you serious?" He nodded. "You proved more about character in 10 minutes than most people do in a lifetime. I want that kind of person around me." Emma accepted, tears in her eyes. For the first time, she felt like the world had seen her for who she really was, not just another face in the crowd. Over the next few months, she worked tirelessly, learning everything she could, earning respect from everyone in the company. Harold became like a father figure to her, guiding her not only in work, but in life. He told her stories of how kindness built his empire, not greed. One afternoon, while they were reviewing a campaign proposal, he said, "You know, I used to think success was about power. But after meeting you, I realized it's about people, about how many lives you make better along the way." Years later, after Harold passed away peacefully in his sleep, Emma stood at his memorial, now the youngest executive in the airline's history. She looked at the crowd and said, "I missed a flight once to help a stranger. I thought I had lost everything that day, but in truth I gained the greatest lesson of my life. Success will come and go, but kindness never goes unnoticed." Her voice broke, and tears rolled down her cheeks. "He taught me that when you stop for someone in need, you might just be stopping for your own destiny." As she walked out of the hall, a young janitor accidentally dropped his cleaning bucket. Without hesitation, Emma bent down to help him pick it up. The boy looked at her, surprised that someone so important would stop. She smiled and said softly, "You never know who's watching, or whose life you're changing." The moment felt like a circle completing itself. She had once been the one who stopped, and now she was passing it on. And somewhere beyond the clouds, Harold Bennett would have been smiling, proud that his airline was now in the hands of someone who understood its true wings weren't made of metal, but of compassion. That day at the airport had seemed like a small act of kindness, a simple choice that cost her one flight. But it became the turning point that changed everything. Life, she realized, isn't about rushing to catch planes. It's about being human enough to stop when someone needs you. Because sometimes, the flight you miss is the one that carries you exactly where you were meant to go.